Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Cookiecast. Today on Cookiecast, we've got a new podcast that's kind of an old podcast, a returning podcast, let's say. It's going to have a slightly different name, but it's certainly a game-based podcast. We've got podcast alum JK returning for this one, so let's get started. This is Cookiecast, the Gamekeeper podcast. And a one, and a two, and a 1, 2, 3. Ooh! Look at that. That's nice. A fat line, isn't it?
That is a fat line.
So right now, for all the people who listen to the podcast, you don't know what the people who watch the podcast on YouTube, why they're absolutely losing their minds right now. Because they can see us. So listeners,
they can.
Pause here. Jump over to YouTube really quickly, look at what we're dealing with, and then jump back to listen to it, or continue watching. It's up to you. I did a podcast with Sam.
Yeah.
Back end of last year. And I said to him, Sam, when was the last time you were on a podcast? And he said, a year ago.
Wow.
It's like, no it wasn't. It's like, the last podcast I did was Game of the Year 2018, which I believe you were on.
Oh yeah, I think I was. Wow.
I think you might have done one other podcast.
Yeah. Well, I took a break. You'll note that I haven't got beer.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for listeners at home and for new YouTube watchers, we at Cookiecast would like to welcome back JK.
Yes. Glad to be back.
And there is no beer. Or whiskey, or wine, or tequila, or vodka.
Took a really long stint in rehab.
There is tea. I've got a coffee, which will surprise nobody.
I'll just hold it up to the camera. It is tea. There's no alcohol in it. I do still drink alcohol, though. I'm just putting that out there. I haven't converted or anything.
So take that as it is. I think at this point in time, it's probably best for you to explain why we're here.
So, people, I basically had quite a bit of time off, cruising around, playing a lot of games, and I started a few blogs and they weren't really going the way I wanted, so I came back to it, I left it, I came back to it, I left it, and I finally settled on what I want to do. So I've started a blog which reviews games that have already been out for quite a long time. So I'll be looking at games which, when they came out on release date, were pretty poor, most of them. But then since they've been patched and DLCs have been added, they actually become really interesting games. And I feel that those games kind of get left behind sometimes. I think we're a bit obsessed with getting all the new stuff out. Don't get me wrong, there's still a few things I've got pre-ordered that I'm going to play. But ideally, I think I'm going to step back from that commercial rush and go for the games which are now, some of them are a couple of years older, and just really give them a good go again and remind myself of why I started gaming in the first place. So the blog is all about that. So
do you want to tell us where we can find the blog?
So it's a WordPress blog, and it is WordPress gamekeeper.sport.blog. Because it's free, so I didn't pay for a domain because I don't have enough subscribers. If I get a load of subscribers, I only need like 100,000. Then it's kind of worth it. So if there's 100,000 people out there.
Also, I believe there is a Facebook and Instagram page.
There is a Facebook. The Facebook is called Gamekeeper, and the Instagram is also Gamekeeper 2020, I believe. But they're all kind of linked in. So. And I think I'm going to have a Twitter page as well at some point, because it's really easy to embed the Twitter into the WordPress. So that's really cool.
I was never a huge Twitter fan, but since doing the podcast I've become more, because you can do a lot inside.
It's weird as well because Twitter kind of died off But it seems to have picked up again.
It's because it got super political. Everybody was using it as a political forum to bash
I've actually
the
found
political
that
forum.
I've actually found that for a lot of certainly game updates from studios, really useful. So Undead Labs,
if you ever do
really
a beta, the first thing I do when I sign up, when I actually get the beta, is go to the Twitter page and follow it, because they'll list all known bugs that people have reported.
Right,
on
that's
Twitter.
interesting. Well, like I say, I found it really good for updates, because over Christmas, Undead Labs did a lot of free stuff for a couple of their games, and it was only really announced on Twitter. So I got loads of free cool stuff. I mean, outfits. Outfits are good, man.
I don't know if it was Borderlands 2. Was it Gearbox that made that? Where they would release codes for chests on Twitter.
Nice. See, that's cool. I love
And
that.
they'd be like, tune in tomorrow, and X number of people get X number of codes, and you can have a free chest.
Great idea.
They did it for like a month when that game came out, and I only found that out through my housemate at the time. He was like, get on Twitter and get these codes. I was like, cool, I'll do that.
Nice. Yeah, it's cool. So, so all that stuff's linked, and I imagine that I can send you the links, and you can.
We will tag and double tag. So I'll be tagging Gamekeeper. We'll do all the deets at the end as well, so that people, and I will do on the intros and the outros. I'll do all the info. If between now and when this goes up, I can actually find how to embed, because I've been looking at various different video editing tools inside the tool I use, and I'm pretty sure I've found, I just need to test it, which this would be a good opportunity. So right now you might see something below me or him.
Exciting.
I think I can embed text.
Oh, that's cool.
So I could type out the deets and things.
Cool.
So yeah.
Well, the podcast will be on my blog page as well. It'll all be embedded. So yeah, you can watch me and him as many times as you like until you fall asleep and fantasize about us, which I think is great. Comment on that, by the way. I'd like to hear your fantasies.
Comment, like, and share.
Yeah.
So let's kick it off.
Yeah.
Starting with.
So games we're looking at this week are, because my favourite genre is zombies. I love zombies. So I'm going to be talking about State of Decay 2 on the Xbox and Days Gone on the PS4. Days Gone isn't that old. Came out April last year. The State of Decay was May the previous year, 2018. We've actually spoken about State of Decay on previous podcasts.
Something that I realised was that I'm pretty sure we did a preview and review podcast for State of Decay.
Yeah, I think we did.
And I was like, are we treading old ground here? And then I remembered we're actually talking about a different subject, and essentially the subject that we're doing is, what do games look like when they're finished?
Yeah, so State of Decay 2 is now a year and a half old. So anybody that played it on launch day, which we did, will remember that it was somewhat buggy. It was...
Do you remember the doors?
The
car doors.
The car doors. So the car doors, was there a moment where
you
they
could
couldn't
open them,
or you couldn't close them?
Once.
That was it.
You could open them once.
Yeah.
You could open a car door to bash a zombie as you drive past, but you could do it once.
That was it. And then there were times when you couldn't get in the car. And
it was super useful when driving down the road and you want to bash a zombie or two. It's a great tool to have.
Yeah.
But you could use it.
That was only one of many bugs. There were weapons missing. There were zombies that were floating. There were moments where you couldn't get into cars.
Where is it?
Yeah, there were map problems. There were teleportation issues when you were playing it as a group.
The rubber banding.
You'd be fighting, and then suddenly you'd get launched, and by the time you got launched to where the car was, the car had gone. So you'd get launched again. It was like being in Quantum Leap, but a really bad Quantum Leap.
But what we covered at the time was that it sounds really bad. Our expectations were very low.
Take it away.
Because that game came out at £30.
It did.
And this was at the start of a price hike for games where game sellers like Game were closing out of business. They're closing a lot of stores, aren't they? Places like Game wanted to say to your face, give me £50 for this game, and they did it with a straight face. And I was like...
you sounded like Christopher Walken.
I'm sorry, what? Oh yeah, that's what everybody's charging for games. No, it isn't. So, at a
sounded like
time...
Christopher Walken. You went in, and they asked, with a straight face, that I won.
And I carried the
50
watch
quid.
up my ass.
That was weird. If anyone's got a rewind, actually tell
Go
me
back.
if he sounds like Christopher
Go
Walken.
back. And this was a game that was released by Microsoft.
Yeah.
You know, a well-known company, well known for pulling your pants down and taking all your money.
Very much so.
This was a game that was released by Microsoft, and they wanted £30, and we were just like, it was so fresh.
We rushed out to buy it.
It was like, you know, follow the us-shaped blur as
I was actually disappointed there wasn't a midnight release. I thought there would be.
And I think at that time we just couldn't get past the £30 price tag, and I think there was a lot of. Even if it's shit, it's 30 quid.
We let all the bugs go because we were like, well, for 30 quid, what do you expect?
And that's how it worked. We sat down to play that game, and it was, oh, well, it's this, and it's this, and it's this. It's a bit buggy, and every time, like, it's 30 quid, what do you expect?
And it did tick the fun box.
Within a week, was it within 10 days, they had 3 million players?
I think it was 10 days. They had 3 million players. They also released a patch that was 1 gig smaller than the actual game. So if my blog serves me right, if I remember correctly, the game was 22 gig and the update was 21 point something. So it was slightly smaller than because I remember when we first got it, we thought it was bigger, but I think because there was a smaller 4 gig patch that had come the week before, so theoretically I think there was a 25 gig update in the space of a week.
Didn't it go onto Game Pass?
It did, yeah. It went straight on.
So rather than paying £30 for it originally, I paid £1.
Yeah.
Because I got a Game Pass trial because this was when Game Pass was fairly new, and they would every now and then they'd be like, "I've Game Pass for £1 for a month."
They still do it now. They do Game Pass Ultimate for £3,
which is gold and Game Pass. That's an absolute bargain. So I think I paid £1 to play State of Decay 2, and then my Game Pass subscription of £1 ran out. I wasn't prepared to get Game Pass at full price, which I think is like £80 at that time.
Something like that, yeah.
So I went out to get State of Decay 2. This will be a month after it had been released, and paid £27.
I'm gonna say it's gone down. It went down in price.
It went down. But yeah, the game and the first update
was and that update was amazing because it literally fixed, I would say, well, for me personally, I didn't have that many bugs, so it fixed 90% of the bugs for me.
It made the game playable.
It was much more playable, and
when there was times that it wasn't.
Yeah, I know that if you read online, people were having other problems, which seems to have petered out, and it still has a massive following. And Undead Labs since then have released several DLCs, of which I believe if you've got Game Pass, those DLCs are free.
So I'm at some point I will talk about the DLCs because I think that's where you and I kind of fractured, because you were in a position where you were getting the DLCs, the actual proper DLCs for free.
Yeah.
And I wasn't.
Yeah, because
you were driving around in like cars that had
fireworks. I picked up the deluxe edition, and that gave me, I had the cool, what is it called? The Independence Day pack.
Yep.
With cars.
So you had the top part and the coat and tails and a car that shot fireworks, and I was like, cool. I haven't got any of that. And you would like turn up with different weapons and stuff, and it was like, I haven't got any of that either. So there was a point where your version of playing that game got better,
much better,
because you had the free DLCs that were coming out, which everybody got because they were free. But you also had these additional things. I got to a point where I mean, because there's multiple playthroughs and you can have multiple different.
Yes, I don't normally. This is another thing about State of Decay which I found interesting, was I don't normally like to play a game 9 times. I always found when I used to look at achievements, because I'm obviously an achievement whore. If you played a game on its hardest setting and it would unlock the other settings, I'd play it on its hardest setting from the outset. I'd be like, I'm just going to play it on Nightmare mode, and that way, once I've completed it, I'll unlock hard, easy, medium, all at once, so I'll get 250 points on my achieve bracket. But with State of Decay, there isn't an easy, hard setting. There's just... Well, there is now. Now there's an easy, medium, and Nightmare mode. But there's no achievement for completing the game in Nightmare mode. There are achievements for doing certain things in Nightmare mode. So, like, if you kill a plague heart in Nightmare mode, you unlock achieve. The way the game plays is you choose a leader, and then that leader completes the game. Then when you play through again, you choose a different leader, but the leader that you've already won with gives your new camp bonuses. So if you were the warlord in the game before, when you play now, you get like a whole case of weapons in your new
remember.
Camp. So each playthrough gets a little bit easier. And I never really got bored of that, which I thought I would, because I'm like, basically it's the same game over and over again. I mean, for some reason, I'm still playing it at the moment, so I'm on like a ridiculous achieve at the moment. I'm trying to survive 100 days in Nightmare mode. I'm on day 67 because I haven't played it for a while. But what I've been doing is watching the TV and just letting it run, and the days just tick over. So I found that once your camp is established, little tip here, people, you can get your camp to be self-sufficient. And you can just leave it, and your people will fight the zombies, they'll eat food, they'll have fuel, no problems. You can go to work, and when you come back, 5 days have passed. Thank you very much. So there's that. But I digress. This isn't about how to get cheese. You need to figure that out yourself. One of the best DLCs for it is Heartland, because Heartland takes you back to the original town map of State of Decay 1, but they've obviously... advance the story, and there's a lot more to do in this. There's like, you've got to destroy plague walls and things, and they're really hard. But it's a really good complete DLC. It's new characters, new setting, some slightly different monsters. Yeah, it's cool. It's fun. It's fun. I would say that a year and a half on, State of Decay 2 is now a really good game. It's a really fun playable game if you like zombie games.
And I think even in the first week, our conversations were very much going, it's a good game, it's got issues. You were checking online frequently to see about updates, and then there were information about updates, then there was DLCs, made the game a whole lot more playable.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, I played it all the way through once. I got the next camp I got had the upgrade.
Yeah.
I think I had the Warlord one. And then I hit an issue, which I wasn't sure whether it was, because early on you go to like one of the first camps and it's got like an upstairs, and there was a thing that you had to do with a fuel can. You had to get fuel.
Yeah.
Early on.
Yeah.
And it was like a glitch where I'd collected the fuel, put it in the inventory, but I couldn't take it out.
Yeah, I think there was a glitch for that, which has now been fixed.
I can't progress.
But all of those things have been ironed out. I would say the game is as complete as it could be now. The only updates they do now is to give you free shit. So now, for example, they've unlocked outfits, so you guys can have outfits. So at the moment, my team all look like Sons of Anarchy. They're all wearing black leather tops. They've all got I think it's got like Sons of Decay on the back of their jackets. It's super cool. So I mean, but you can have there's a chameleon onesie. There's you can wear. There's the Halloween. They released the swine and bovine outfit, which is basically a butcher's apron and a pig's head. It's like half pig head, half cow head. So that's kind of cool. You can unlock the mask of a juggernaut. So you kill the juggernaut and you put its face on your face, which is really freaky looking. I have to say, it's like an oversized leather-faced head. But it's fun, and those are the kind of updates they're doing now. So I think Undead Labs are in a good place because that's what they're doing now. They're continuing to upgrade the game. They're saying that they've got a lot more to release this year. There's a lot more content coming, according to what they said at Christmas on their Twitter feed and on the feed that came into the game. They were like, we're really looking forward to 2020. They're also developing State of Decay 3, so there's big plans. So get it while it's hot.
Well, it's one of those,
and it's still super cheap.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine you can pick up
pence now.
Yeah,
I think it was in game last week for £9. So I mean, £9 is, or you can get it on Game Pass. But £9, you
2 cups of coffee these days.
it's a pint in York. So
it is if you go to certain places.
So yeah, that's State of Decay 2. That's all I need to say on it, really. There is some more information on my blog. If you're curious, go there, have a little read. It's basically mostly what we've covered, but there's a bit more information in there. Well, actually, there might not be. But there's some pretty pictures.
So what's next?
Days Gone.
Days Gone. Now then, I obviously have to start with a confession. I own Days Gone. I picked it up on Monday. I went out of my way to go and get it. This is all purely off the back of your recommendation.
Yeah.
I did. This is the thing, and I'm sure that you'll come onto this. I know you've got a particular axe to grind. Days Gone initially had bad reviews.
It did.
If you take the time now, pause if you want, take the time now, go on the internet, do a search for Days Gone review, and try and find those bad reviews.
I know, right?
Because they don't seem to exist anymore.
It's
a solid 8 out of 10 game.
Yeah.
I'm a man who will buy a 6 out of 10 if I think I can get more out of it than other people. So an 8 out of 10 game is a winner for me. Can't lay my hands on a single one of the bad reviews that it got initially. Don't really understand what's going on there.
Well, interestingly, I did a bit more digging because I texted you about the storyline.
Well, my confession, just so that we're clear on this one, my confession is I picked the game up on Monday. I took it back to my house at the end of the day. I immediately put the disc in. We will talk about what the update looks like at this point in time, because it's not a super new game. And at this moment in time, I still haven't played it. So
the game came out April 2019. So it's been out for almost a year.
It's heading towards
a little under a year. One of the reviews initially said that the storyline is borderline boring and not interesting. So it was so bad that at the Golden Joystick Awards it won Story of the Year, as in the best story of a game in 2019. So, I mean, I'm not one to say that the reviewers are wrong, but somebody nominated it for that award. So, I mean, I know like in the Oscars, often we don't always get our favourite film that wins, but 9 times out of 10, a good film gets an Oscar award.
Me and my mate did a podcast on Monday where we were talking about the best films of 2019, and every time we mentioned a film, he was like, didn't get an Oscar nomination though, did it?
Joker did though.
Yeah. Carry
on. So storyline, if you like your Walking Dead and you like your zombie apocalypse, I personally think it's a very interesting story. I'm probably just over halfway through the game, and I'm enjoying the story. I think it's fun. I think you get a real feel for the zombie apocalypse. I think the acting is sometimes a little bit overdone, and there are some moments where obviously you're supposed to be riding your motorbike, so assumably you're shouting at the person on the back of the bike, but it actually sounds like he's shouting in a room with nothing going. He's shouting so loud that it's louder than the motorbike is.
Oh, all right.
So that's a bit weird.
Okay.
And it's the guy that voices Darth Maul in the Clone Wars. So that's kind of cool. He's done a few things. So yeah, that's fun. But what I want to talk about is the actual game itself. So storyline is like you either skip the cutscenes or you don't, right?
Yeah.
So the game, big update, 41 gig I think in total across since 2019. So yeah, 42 gig in total. So that's pretty big. That's from April
that's bigger than some
I
games.
put it in my console on Christmas Day because that's when I got it. So it was 42 gig at that point. There's a lot of talk on there about it's riddled with bugs. There are loads of problems. Again, me personally, I haven't experienced any serious bugs. I've had 2 instances One where I was on my bike and I was riding back to my camp, and for some reason I dropped through the road into
falling through the world.
I dropped through the world into a pond. My bike sunk, and I needed to swim back to shore, but obviously couldn't, so I drowned. But because there's a quick save, it started me back at the beginning of the road. I went over it slowly, and I got across fine. And since then, I've not had that. The only other one was I had a glitch with a horde. So hordes in Days Gone are terrifying. They're anything from 50 to 500 zombies. And they can run fast, they can hear you, and they will not stop chasing you, regardless of how far you run. Unless you get on your bike, which can be difficult, because if your bike gets hit by something and falls over, you have to press a button to pick the bike up. This takes time. You then have to press a button to get on the bike, and he starts it up. This takes time. You do not have this time when being chased by 500 freaks. But if the bike's ready to go, you can hop on it and drive off. But 9 times out of 10, I tend to park my bike a bit further away, and I like to try and sneak in as best I can. I got to a situation where my first horde, so I've gone in, they've started running at me, I'm going, shit! So I'm running away. But accidentally, I hit one of them, and it disappeared. And as it disappeared, it gave me a bounty point. I was like, that's interesting. So I ran into the next one, and it disappeared. And I did this for 50 zombies, and it said horde complete. And I was like, nice. I didn't do anything. So I was like, this is a glitch I'm happy with. Since then, it's not happened. I tried it again on a different horde, and I got devoured. So in about a second and a half. So they're the 2 major bugs for me, and I think they were quite serious at the beginning. A lot of people were saying that was a problem. Personally, hordes are terrifying, so I normally go and search for pretty much every achieve in the game. In each map, there are a certain amount of hordes to kill. The first 2 maps, I think there are 7 in each zone. I haven't gone looking for any of them. I do not want to look for them until I'm armed to the teeth, and I don't think I'll ever have enough weaponry. Because if I have to go against 500 of these things, I don't know how it's possible. The internet says there are ways you can do it.
I've seen videos.
Sneak around, try this. So I tried one where there were lots of things I could shoot to blow things up.
So the videos I've seen is where they're you have to position yourself in a certain place where you can see all the things to shoot to blow stuff up. You have to use certain weapons and certain tactics.
They tell you that the zombies can climb the same way you can.
Oh.
So it's not like State of Decay. State of Decay, you can stand on the roof of your car. There can be a million zombies around you. They cannot get on the roof of the car. So you can just stand there until they leave. Eventually they'll leave. In State of Decay, they won't leave. And they can climb everywhere you can climb. So there is no hiding. So you've got things like lures. Okay, so you can fire a lure, they'll all run to it, and you can drop a couple of grenades in. Problem is, when they're coming after you, if you throw the lure, they'll ignore that and still come after you, because you're more tasty. They're like, oh, that guy's noisy, and we can see him and hear him. So they ignore the lure. So that doesn't work. So the only way to do it is to throw the lure, lob a load of grenades in, throw another lure, keep them busy, lob a load of grenades in, but you can only carry a maximum of 6 Molotovs.
Oh,
6 Molotovs is not enough for 500 zombies, because when they're on fire, they can still run at you.
Oh.
Until eventually they drop dead, but what that's done is alerted the other 450 to the little burning fire over there.
Lifelong listeners of the podcast will know from our zombie cast days, a flaming zombie is still a flaming zombie.
Right.
So
there's that. So and the fact that bug was fixed, personally I think is disappointing. I was quite happy for them to just disappear when I touched them. That would have been good for the Chiefs. Alas, that's not happened. Other than that, I think the game is really good. DLC wise, it's been free. There's been no add-ons to the game. What they've done is instead of storylines, they've added challenges.
Oh, okay.
So there's like a racing challenge, which is a bit GTA. You get on your bike and you go through rings, and you have to kill zombies on the way and do it in a certain time. And what's cool is you get bronze, silver, and gold awards, and each award gives you a patch to put on your biker jacket, and these patches become bonuses you can use that automatically used in the game. So if you complete the one of the races and get gold, you get 30% more ammo when you collect ammo. So that's cool. There's one where you get 30% more speed, more stamina. So there is an interest to do the challenges, and also there's quite a few challenges to like outlast the horde. So the horde just keeps coming, and you've got to last as long as you can. Really good practice for going against the horde, because you can try loads of weaponry, you can try all sorts of different tactics, all of which I suck at. I'm good at racing, I'm a bit shit at the horde stuff. There's a cool one where you've got to go against marauders and rogues, so you kind of sneak around like Assassin's Creed, and if you kill 50 of them you get a gold patch. If you shoot them in the head 9 times you get a gold patch. And it's all stuff that when you play the game you've got that, so it's really in your interest to do the challenges, but you don't have to do them. They also added a Survivor Plus mode. So the game in itself, there's a lot of criticism about the fact that you never feel like you're really surviving, because you need scrap to keep your weapons up to date, you need fuel to make Molotovs, and there's an abundance of this stuff. Everywhere you go there's tons of it, you never really run out. Right. Which I don't really mind when I'm playing a fast-paced zombies game, I don't want to run out of ammo. But if you put it in survivor mode, places that you've already searched, that stuff will be gone. So you have to be really careful about what you're going to do, and if you really fancy a challenge, this is probably for you. If you really want to feel like you're in the apocalypse and you want to, I don't know, fuck yourself in the arse for some reason, this would be the way to do it. I don't know why anyone would want to go. I'm going to try it because I obviously want to, but I think it will be really, really hard.
I finally got, because they finally released it, I finally got Arizona Sunshine for the VR.
Of course.
And there is an element of, you go, you find ammo, you pick it up. You never, like I played it on easy because that's how I roll. You never feel at points that you're gonna not find more ammo, so you don't have to conserve it as much. But certain weapons, you find less ammo. So if you've got like an Uzi, you will find a lot less Uzi ammo.
Right.
So when you're then attacked by like a horde of zombies, you aren't going to want to use the Uzi. But then it's like a case of, well, I know I'm not going to find more.
A bit like Doom when you got the BFG and you ever had like 2 cells.
Yeah, so you're like, well, I can kill a few of them, but I should probably switch back to my pistol because I know I'll get more pistol. And anything like that, it makes you think a little bit more about a game rather than just, I'll pick this up and I'll
I mean, I've not been, I don't feel like, I've got Days Gone on normal mode. I don't feel like it's too easy. I've died plenty of times. But not through lack of weaponry. The monsters are hard to kill, so I think the fact there's an abundance of stuff keeps the game going. If you spend 90% of your time looking for stuff so that you can do a mission, there's a point where that becomes boring. Like, I like it for a bit. Like, I like certain missions where you need to find this to do this, you need to find fuel to do that. Okay, I'm cool with that. Yep. But I don't want to get on my bike and every time I drive 10 yards I'm running out of fuel, fuck, I need more fuel. There's loads of fuel in the game. So and your character even says sometimes, oh, looks like I need more fuel. This is lucky, there's some here. So it's a bit tongue-in-cheek for them as well. But I can't imagine everywhere I drive, oh, I'm out of fuel, I need to walk. Because that's a nightmare. It's just, that would be awful. That would not be fun, because fast travel points in Days Gone only work if you've got fuel for the bike. You can't walk fast travel, you can only do it on the bike. So if you haven't got fuel, you can't go there. So if you do this in Survivor Plus mode and they've done something like take out the fuel, you're not going to use your bike as much. It's going to take a lot longer to complete a game you've already completed. Yeah. I'm currently playing, although the reason I haven't played Days Gone is I got it on Monday and I've literally done back-to-back podcasts since then. Yes, so I haven't played anything. It's not like I haven't played that. That is the game that's in my machine. The moment I get the opportunity to play something, that is the game I'm going to play. But I had been playing an RPG. The game I played before that was an RPG. Something that is in RPGs that I feel is so beyond outdated, where you go into a room, a building, whatever, and you have to go to a box, open the box, look at the list of what's in the box, press the button to collect it all, then you only need some of it, so at some point you're going to have to sell it, and you're going to have to do this, but then you go to the next box over, and you open the box, and you look at what's there, and you take it off.
there should be walk in a room, press a button, and everything in the room. It should be like a magnet.
Yeah, so
everything in the room should just go.
Well, Days Gone is quite useful because stuff you've already got shows up as red in front of you, so you don't need to pick it up. And something you need has got a little square by it. So you press the square, but it will pick everything up in that kind of area that you need. So it's quick. You still have to pick it up, but you don't sell anything. There's no equipment. You don't go to merchants and sell stuff.
Exactly.
All you do with merchants is buy stuff. You buy ammo and guns. You don't sell anything.
I can't remember playing through the Outer Worlds. I was like, what the hell was the game that put the button? I think you held down like circle or B, and it just
it sucked everything in. Yeah, I remember that.
What game was that? Because that did it right. That is how RPGs.
Was that not? That might have been Borderlands.
I thought it was a board.
I think it's Borderlands. You press a button and it all comes towards you, or you just run up to it and it automatically comes to you.
I might have to look it up because it's been bugging me
since I played
Outer Worlds. It's been bugging me.
Because Outer Worlds is really bad because you have to physically go up to each individual item and pick it up, and so much of it is worth nothing.
So there was a point at the start of that game. I think I will have done a separate review of the game. There was a point at the start of that game where I was like, this game is absolutely fantastic. I can see why it got such good reviews and all this. But the one thing that was present in my mind was the reviews were like, this game is great to start with, and the more you play it, the worse it gets. And I was like, well, how does that work? And I played it, and I was like, man, this game's great.
I've played it for a bit, and I will do a blog on it probably later in the year just to see how far if it's come along. I wasn't too chuffed with it. Like you, at the beginning, I was like, well, this is fun. I got bored quite quickly.
Yeah, there's by halfway through that game, it is just one long loading screen.
Yeah, they're not here for me.
And they're not here for me, which is unusual.
Woohoo! So that's my two games. So I'm just looking at my thing here, and I wanted to talk about. But I'll let you. Yeah.
You've got. I just wanted to recap. So basically, the whole point of this is that we can sit down here and we can say, right. So the game that we're going to review is the game that came out yesterday, and we've played it for 24 hours, and here's our review. You can go anywhere
and get that review.
To get that review. And we had a conversation, and you were like, I want to review games that are actually finished.
Yeah.
And in this day and age, those things don't exist. You don't get a review of a game that's finished because
certainly
you get
not a year later.
A game that is 60% done at day of release, because the company works on the principle they can patch it, they can sell you a DLC.
Everybody's been online and complained about it, so they know what to do.
I mean, that is Bethesda's entire business model.
Except with
they get the community to fix it.
Fallout 78, they don't seem to have fixed that.
And then they sell it back to the community as their patch. Yeah, it's great business models. But when you sort of came up with this, I want to talk about games that are actually finished. It brings us back to. Do you remember when updates weren't a thing?
Yeah,
when you used to buy a completed game.
I'm doing a current feature on the blog, which will be discussing Assassin's Creed for anyone that's a Creed fan. And it starts way back in 2007 with the original Assassin's Creed. And I was saying to you tonight that when that game came out, it got really high reviews, and it was an exceptional game because it was finished. There were no patches, there were no DLC, because those things didn't exist. Yeah. And that was when developers had to work to get your money.
Yeah.
Now they don't. Now they know when they release a game, they just patch it. Yeah. I don't know how many. I think every single pre-ordered game I've bought and put into my console, as soon as I put it in, it says, this game needs an update.
Every single game has
and I've had games where I've bought on midnight release, got it home, and still had a 20 gig update.
Yeah. Day one
and I'm
patch.
like, this is
every game you buy has a day one patch.
And that's a terrible thing.
The day one patch is 20% of the missing 40 from the game you bought for £50.
That's a terrible, terrible thing. So my new New Year's resolution is I'm going to just play old games, which are already fully patched, and I've got all the DLCs, and I can really decide if I like it. So my two games, zombie games, this year that you should be playing are State of Decay 2 and Days Gone. Ignore the other zombie games because they're not very good. I've played them all. Trust me.
I mean, I always have this thing with zombies in general. I like the zombie genre, but I also I'm a bit like, and obviously I played X amount of VR over the last year. Zombies in VR,
Fun.
Yeah,
it strikes me as fun.
They can be. They can also be terrifying.
I can imagine Days Gone in VR would be terrifying. I think I'd actually run from the horde.
Obviously, we're getting Half-Life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's gonna be fun.
Interesting.
Love Half-Life.
Yeah.
Great series.
So as you wanted to review games that are actually finished games, which is, it's a whole new way of looking at games.
New concept.
But you had some preview stuff.
Yeah. So I have got a few things. Today, by the time you get this, it won't be today. It'll be a bit later. But Cyberpunk, Red Project announced today that Cyberpunk has been pushed back till 17th of December 2020, and I also found out another little piece of information that multiplayer will not be available until at least 2022.
So, I saw that this morning. I saw the announcement. They're like, we regret to inform you that we will not be releasing the game in April, we're going to release it in September. And my response to that was, why don't you just say, we're not releasing the game in April because we'd rather get twice as much money for it by releasing it on the new console and the old one. Because they are allegedly going to release it in September. My money says December, because the new consoles will be out. Why would you get half the money that you could possibly get by releasing it early?
Yeah, that's true.
They even said in their post, the game is finished. Well, in these days, as we've just spent 20 minutes talking about,
doesn't mean jack.
Games aren't finished. They then went on to say, we want to polish the game. Well, that's done in post. That's done by updates and things. So why would you choose to not release something that is quote unquote finished?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say because
unless it's for money.
Project Red are obviously renowned for the Witcher games, and they're good games. So I'm sure they want to earn more money, but what I'd like to see is a finished game. So if they do release a finished, polished game, I don't care if it comes on 10 consoles. What I want is my money's worth on release day.
I would like to see the version of the game that they've got now versus the version of the game that gets released, because my money says there will be no difference.
No, you're probably right.
They can sit on a game for 6 months, get 6 months worth of pre-orders.
Well, they've had my pre-order since last year.
A lot more money.
Cyberpunk's been on the cards for since 2018, something like that. We're like a year and almost 2 years down the line.
Yeah.
But Keanu Reeves is in it, so
he is.
John Wick.
He is,
and he's got Tony Stark's arm.
He has
beaten Iron Man to death with his own arm and then stolen it.
But do you remember when John Bernthal was in Ghost Recon?
Oh yeah.
Didn't make that game any better, did it?
See, I don't really want to go down the road of Ghost Recon in this podcast because it just hurts too much.
Still hurts, man.
It's painful. I was so excited about Punisher being the bad guy. I went through the alpha and the beta. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to digress. We're not digressing from it.
No, I'm fine. I've done weekly updates about that.
Yeah, we're not doing it. Not doing it. So Cyberpunk. So that was that. I also wanted to talk about Doom Eternal, because that's coming out now. That was been put back, and now I think it's February. Is it February or March release? So March release for that. I'm still quite excited, quite stoked for that. That's going to be fun. So I just wanted to tell people, go and get Doom Eternal, because you really can't go wrong.
Did you see the new trailer?
I did.
That came out a couple of days ago.
Yes.
I mean, the problem you've got with trailers is the CG aspect is what they put in the trailer, and then they pepper it with a little bit of game footage.
Yeah.
It looks like Doom.
It does.
It looks cool. I am terrified that it's going to be Bethesda because they have apparently lost the ability to make a game since the last Doom.
That's true, yeah.
So I'm hoping that it's something to do with the name that they could make this one good.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're in January.
We are.
At this moment in time. That comes out in March. It's the first game of the year, apparently. Because there's nothing between now and then.
There doesn't seem to be. I did a quick
what
search.
What is it that comes out after that?
Cyberpunk.
Oh, doesn't that come out in September? Well, yeah, it was September.
Yeah.
So March.
I did a quick search last week to look at what was coming out this year. I can't think of anything that really jumped out at me. I'm trying. There was something.
Assassin's Creed.
I don't think that's not till 20. Oh, it might be November.
No, it's November
2020.
this year.
Okay, which is on my list actually. So I want to talk about that as well because the title of Assassin's Creed Ragnarok has been thrown around. That's not the case. It's not going to be called that.
And like I was saying, that's because the people that made God of War had already Bagsied
it.
the name surreptitiously.
Yeah. So yeah, but I think Assassin's Creed sounds interesting. From what I read, the things we do know are that the combat system is going to be very similar to Odyssey. It's also going to have a similar idea where you can kind of choose a story arc.
It's going to have RPG.
And I've also understood that there's one main character, but that character can be male or female. Yeah. Those things seem to be, as of today, were kind of real. There's a lot of stuff that's been debunked, but it was crap anyway. Something about 4 players. You can drop in and out a bit like Ghost Recon Wildlands, but that seems to disappear. I mean, the last time they did that was Unity, and you could never drop in and out of a game. It was just you could do some multiplayer like side missions.
But when I read when I read that, all I heard or I saw on the page was Brotherhood. Do you remember the first time you pressed those shoulder buttons?
Yeah.
And you got them to jump in and take out a crowd, and it was like...
You see, the thing is... I always felt that the multiplayer in Assassin's Creed Unity was massively underrated. I really enjoyed doing side missions with my mates in Unity, where there were like 4 of us as assassins.
Was Unity the one that was just...
In France.
Hands down... The French Revolution, that was hands down broken. It was just
it was
completely broken.
I should point out, if anyone wants to play it now, it's really good. It's totally patched. It's really good. It's like a few years old, but it's in perfect condition. There are no bugs in it.
That they tried to tell us that the bugs were part of the game, and at that point I went, there's my controller.
Yeah.
I'm done, thank you.
No, so that's all been patched. The game is complete.
It was unplayable.
Yeah,
I got it for Christmas. So it came out in as they do. Came out in November, and I got it on Christmas Day, and I put it on, and it was a present. And I had to say to the person that bought it for me, I'm really sorry,
but you can keep
I'm gonna trade this in because this game is unplayable. And the moment the shops were back open after Christmas, I was like running in, going, "Take this from me! It's terrible."
Yeah, well, I played it quite a few years later. Interestingly, I played them backwards. I played Syndicate first.
That is a great game.
Right. Well, see, I think if I played Unity first, I wouldn't have liked Syndicate as much. Because I went back and played Unity and I was like, wow, this is a copy paste. Just one's in London and one's in Paris.
Yeah.
But I really, really like Syndicate.
I played Unity and I was like, nope. And I was properly like, I am done with this franchise. If they cannot make a workable game at this point in time, you are copy and pasting a lot of what you did in the last game.
Yeah.
So let's get it right. If you can't make a game, then I'm done with you. And I didn't get Syndicate initially. And then it was getting all these reviews, and it was like, oh, it sounds like it might be quite interesting. There's no mention of any bugs. And I picked it up, I loved it.
Yeah, it's great.
I've
actually got it again for Christmas on the PlayStation.
It's one of
So I'm going to complete it again.
It's on my list of Assassin's Creed games I've played more than once.
Right. Yeah, it's good.
I loved the fact that you could play as Jacob and Evie,
yeah.
And their play styles were completely different
and
to
both
each other.
really good. Both characters are really likable.
Great characters,
I enjoy playing both
and
characters.
the way they played, like she was stealth and he was like a brawler.
Yeah.
Just so well done.
Yeah. And some fun DLC. You've got Jack the Ripper.
I'm super looking forward to a new Assassin's Creed. I played them.
Yeah. Interestingly, I played the shit out of Origins and 100%ed that on the Xbox. I've done 1% of Odyssey. I literally downloaded it when it was the Ubisoft had a sale on. I played it for like 20 minutes. I wasn't so keen on the combat system. There seemed to be a button bashing thing.
Game.
Yeah, I've got an issue about having to level up to be able to assassinate certain people.
I
don't
felt
like
that it was a different game. The fact that it had the Assassin's Creed name attached to it, I was almost surprised. There's no hidden blade.
See, that puts me off. You're not making me want to play it.
Really struggled. Apparently one of the DLCs is supposedly the first introduction of the hidden blade in the Assassin's Creed
But it doesn't
story.
make sense because in Assassin's Creed Origins, you have the hidden blade. So surely Origins is set before Odyssey.
There's something about it, doesn't it get broken?
Right.
I don't know. There's something about it being broken.
I mean, I will go to it eventually.
It's a completely different game. I gave it Game of the Year, if you remember.
Oh, yeah, you did, yeah.
And that was over God of War, which I've recently
replayed.
I recently replayed it, and I've kind of sort of gone back on what I said at the time. I was like, I struggled with certain elements of God of War, and I think I struggled with the way it was received because every single person was like, it's the best game I've ever made. Best game I've ever made. And I was like, it isn't, it's just a really good game. And the more people like, it's the best game I've ever made, the more I was like, it isn't. And that pushed me down a path of going, I'm not giving it Game of the Year. I've played it. I played it through a second time to get New Game Plus when they released New Game Plus. And then, for some reason, I picked the wrong save and it wasn't New Game Plus, and I got really annoyed. Like the third time I played it. Then I played it this time, New Game Plus, so you've got I don't want to spoil anything, but it's been out a while. You've got the thing that you have at the beginning of the game when you play a New Game Plus, let's go with that. This time when I played it, I was like, I probably underrated it. Because of
what everyone said.
What everyone else said.
You'd closed your mind.
So I was a bit like, I think I gave it a bit of a bum deal. But I did give Assassin's Creed Game of the Year.
Well, I will go back to it. I just haven't yet. I'm building up to it slowly. And my last piece of news is Darkest Dungeon 2.
Yeah.
So anyone that watched previous podcasts with me knows that Darkest Dungeon or Ghost Recon Wildlands popped up pretty much every time. And Darkest Dungeon, incidentally, I still haven't completed, but I do have enough characters to go into the deepest dungeon, which I've done so far one time. I need to do it another 3 times to complete the game. It's still ridiculously hard, but it's still really addictive. I go back to it and play it like every month or so, and I have a real good go at it, level up a bit more. But Darkest Dungeon 2 got announced end of last year, and there was some talk whether it was real or not. Red Hook Studios announced on Twitter just before Christmas that they were looking for an environment artist to work on Darkest Dungeon 2. So it is real. Now we're just waiting to see what happens. So anyone who's a Darkest Dungeon fan, as games go, that game came out perfect. It wasn't bugged. It had no glitches. It was £11. It's on it's on every possible system.
Every console.
It's on the Switch. It's on the Mac, the PC, the Xbox, the PlayStation. I even think it might be on a Nintendo DS somewhere. It's on every single console. And get it. If you like strategy games, turn-based, which are hard, then play it. And then you can bow down and hail Red Hook when they do the sequel, which will hopefully be exactly the same game, just in a different environment. Because that's all I want from it.
Yeah. Which is something that I think...
Which is what I wanted from Ghost Recon.
I mean, it's that thing, isn't it? If you don't change it enough, you get criticised for not changing it enough, and if you change
which
it
I think
too
is
much, you get criticised.
which I think is sad, because looking at Assassin's Creed, if you look at their 10 games, 8 of those games are exactly the same.
Yeah.
You just play a different guy in a different city, but you do exactly the same thing. You've got Hidden Blade, you've got Eagle Vision, you jump off buildings, you fight people with a sword, and that's it.
I feel that Ghost Recon Breakpoint was like the sacrificial lamb. It was released, it got some of the worst reviews of a AAA game ever, and Ubisoft announced every single game that we've got coming up for release in the next 18 months we've pulled. And they were like, we're not releasing a game, any of the games, so they like rattled through the list. Watch Dogs 3,
Yeah.
which looks
Rainbow Six is on its way.
awful.
There's a new Rainbow Six coming.
It's about time. Siege has been out
That was
a
on
million years.
That was on the list actually of games coming out this year where I raised an eyebrow to like, ooh, the Rainbow
Siege
Six.
is super cool.
Yeah, it is, and they're still they still do updates for it.
They're still working on
See,
that.
I think that this is the future of gaming. I think buying a game with longevity is probably the way we should be going. People want content. If you, especially from a multiplayer game, if you like things like State of Decay, really they rely on playing with 4 other people. So you want people to keep playing it. So what do? You add more stuff, and it's not just skins. You need missions, and Siege have got that nailed. They add characters, they add skins, they add missions.
Characters from other games.
There are loads of really good things.
Their characters to other games.
And that was the thing that worked with Ghost Recon Wildlands, was they kept building and adding stuff to it.
They added something to Ghost Recon Wildlands the month before Breakpoint was released.
Yeah, they
it was
did.
their last update for the game, and it was like a farewell to that game. I mean, what, 3 years of that game?
And that's for me, that's the
It
way it's going.
was certainly the gift that kept on giving, because
that's where
better.
For me, I think that's where developers will make money, because people will become relatively loyal to the company if they've had a really good game, and because then you can then take your time to make a really good sequel, knowing that people aren't. When's the second one coming out already? Because I mean, how many times has a game come out? Somebody's completed it in a day, and they're like, "So when's the next one coming out?"
Yep.
Now you play a game, you know you've got time to complete it, so there's not a rush. You know there's loads of content coming, so you can kind of sit on the back burner waiting for a sequel. You don't necessarily need one, because you enjoy that game so much, you don't necessarily want a sequel. And then when the sequel does drop, you're ready for it, because you've literally played the fuck out of that game.
It's the games
you've got your 60 quid's worth. Yeah.
We used to. Do you remember when like Super Nintendo games used to be released? They were £60.
Yeah.
In the early 90s.
Yeah.
And you would pay that money and play the shit out of it.
Yeah, you would. And this is, like I say, you'll see on the blog about Assassin's Creed, you can see that the formula they had for the first few games was untouchable.
Brotherhood was amazing.
And then this rubbish of DLC started coming out, and all it did was gave game companies an excuse to release half a game, then charge you an extra 14 quid for content that really should have been in the game anyway. And had it been released 10 years ago, it would have been in the game.
But they worked out that there was a way to make money.
Because people pay for it. Yeah. So my advice to you is, buy a game 6 months after release, when it's half the price. All the DLC is available. Half the DLC content is free anyway, or on sale somewhere. Mm-hmm. That is the way that gamers can teach developers, this is what we want to play, and this is how we want to play. We don't want to be ripped off. We want a completed game. We want a game which is what we wanted to pay for. We want our 60 quid's worth.
Luckily, last year taught, fingers crossed, the games market some huge lessons. So there were games that were released that were massive flops. Anthem, huge flop,
big flop.
Ghost Recon, obviously.
Yeah.
There were games that came. I mean, do we even have to mention Fallout 76?
I mean,
at this point in time,
that's an ongoing nightmare for everyone.
3 big games from
big companies,
big game companies.
Yeah.
And then at the back end of the year, you get games like Control, no multiplayer, No add-ons or DLCs that I'm aware of.
No, I don't. Yeah, I think
no loot crates, no nothing. A single-player, story-driven. I mean, I've done a review of Control. I think both Luke and Sam have got a lot to say about that game. You know, Sam says he would have probably put it as Game of the Year if he'd have played it before doing the podcast or all that. And Star Wars, a single player, story driven, well made. At this point in time, no DLC is even gonna. They've already said there will be no DLC. No loot boxes, no multiplayer, no nothing. Those two games did immensely well, and the whole thing has flipped the games industry on its head by going, we don't want this shit.
Interestingly,
we do want this.
Last year, I think, was the first year for a long time that the game industry lost money.
Yeah.
So it's actually down by, I think it was 1.5% or something, that's a huge amount of money. When you put that into percent.
Was it the year before where the announcement was that was the first year where the games industry beat the movie industry?
Something like that. And now it's...
And then in the space of a year...
It's dropped.
It's... my only hope at this point in time is that we are actually seeing companies learning from their mistakes.
Well, I mean, big company. Look at PlayStation and Microsoft. They've now got Game Passes on both those. I think PlayStation is called something else, but it's
PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, so it's a Game Pass, and what that does is it gives gamers a chance to try a lot of games that they probably wouldn't have tried.
Yeah. Game Pass is one of the
little
best.
money. I mean, you put your £10 in, and if you want to download 6 games, I mean, you got Gears of War 5 is on there. They've just added GTA 5. I know it's an old game, but it's still
I'd play it.
It's still a top price game.
Yeah,
it's hard to find it cheap. These are games that people probably wouldn't have played that now they can play for a tenner. And if you don't particularly like it, well, you don't really care, do you? Because you only paid a tenner for it.
Like I said, it's the price of 2 cups of coffee these days.
It's proof that that's what people want to do. And like I say, I think it'll be an interesting year, I think, to see what developers do.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
So, obviously you and I have spoken frequency for the podcast. This is... it's like a podcast in conjunction. It's a podcast off the back of it. It's a podcast that's going to be joined up with, but not solely with, the blog. So we will hash out the frequency. I
think monthly.
It might be monthly. It might end up being, if we actually see
something interesting
that are coming out, we might have to do some ad hoc stuff. But monthly works real well.
Yeah, that's cool.
So give us all the contacts again.
So you've got Instagram, which is MacLeod. No, it's not. It's not MacLeod at all. That's a different Instagram. No, the Instagram is Gamekeeper 2020. The Facebook is also Gamekeeper on Facebook. There's a little picture of me looking cool with a gun from XCOM. It's not actually me, but it looks like me. And the WordPress blog is wordpressgamekeeper.sport.blog. It's a bit hard to find, but it's all linked onto the Facebook and the Instagram, and interestingly, the more people that look at it, obviously the easier it'll be to find. And if I get enough people, I'll make a proper domain, and then it will be called Gamekeeper. The problem is, at the moment, when I type in Gamekeeper, I get Google reports of fox hunting and how bad it is for gamekeepers.
Of course, yeah.
So I'm like, shit.
A gamekeeper.
So I do need quite a lot more people to get my traffic. But it's, like I say, it's new. It's up and coming. There's loads of stuff on there. Leave comments.
Like and share, people. Like and share.
Yeah, anything you want to see, just bash me a comment. Anything you don't want to see, bash me a comment. And if you want to just offend me, good luck with that.
If you've got a game where you're like, well, I've been playing this game for 6 years and I love it, shoot it over.
Yeah, do it.
Give us a shout. Because there's a chance that we'll have either played it or we're open to playing stuff.
Definitely.
If you've got a game that you're like, this game's great, have you played it?
Exactly.
We'll come back to you and tell you whether we have.
Yeah, give it a go. I'll give it a bash.
And we can potentially just talk about it on here. This is the forum for talking about games.
And if you're a chief, definitely give me a bash, because I've always got little tips for how to get some of the ridiculously long chiefs, because I know that, find every chest in Assassin's Creed, not everybody's cup of tea. is mine though, so I can teach you easy ways of doing it that isn't quite as boring. Normally involves getting your younger brother to do it.
Right, well there we go.
Cool.
Good way to kick things back off.
Yeah, nice to be back.
Nice to have you
See
back.
you next time.
Yes, indeed.
Later,
I'll be here.
peeps.
Right. Bye-bye.
Laters.
Oh no. Oh, there we go.
Cool. We didn't digress too badly, actually. The only thing we skipped was I was going to talk about stamina.
So there you go. What do you think of that? Another one in the bag. Another one done. Good to see JK back. As we were saying, follow the Gamekeeper on all of the social media platforms and go and check out the actual blog. YouTube watchers, make sure you're subscribing, liking and sharing all of that. Everybody jump over to the Cookiecast.com. Check us out over there. Send us some love. So, yeah, that's it for this one. And until next time, I'll say bye and I'll see you then. Bye.